Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Today's video is going to be stop smoking weed. Stop smoking marijuana. I would even go as far as to say with hypersensitive people, of which my nervous system is hypersensitive because I have autism. To even be careful of, these edibles, CBD with higher THC. Because you can get really sick. You don't think so, but you can. What do you mean, Dave? CBD get you high? Well, that's what it says in the canister. It also says be careful of psychosis. I know this because I've had to test them because of my pain. I was using it in the daytime, CBD, and I would try to get my lowest amount of THC possible. The reason I'm making this video is to help people get out of this cycle. But because of the things I've been through and because of what happened the other night to me, if I go in a cloud of smoke and I inhale it, just one inhale, I will be high. It's that easy. You can go look at Reddit articles and you can see contact high. It's not possible, but why do you think they call hot boxing? What do you think that is? When I was around 25 years old, I'm like, I've had enough. I can't be in my friend's home. I smoked cigarettes, and I had to stop going there because they were smoking bongs and joints, and although I was in a home open, I'm telling you, I had to leave because I was getting high. It wasn't good. What does this have to do with Yahuwah and Jesus Christ, Father, Son, Holy Spirit? It has a lot to do with it, because I'm not saying you can't be saved. I think everyone who has faith and believes is saved. But I don't know, I would be careful about smoking weed and dumbing your senses. You don't want to do that to yourself. People will say, I can drive better, I'm more artistic. I would argue more for the other side, with a clear mind, but I understand where you come from with that. I'm not forwarding this to people who are in significant amounts of pain, who can't stand pain. I'd rather say use CBD, like 16% CBD or 14% and some THC in it, but I don't condone using drugs, man. Like, to see what's happened where I live, just Canada, okay? It's happening in half of the states too. But Canada is completely free. You can't smoke in parklands and all that type of stuff. People do anyways, and that's why I got high the other day. But you're supposed to smoke where tobacco smokers can smoke. You have to smoke away from the building. It's like 10 meters or something like that. Imagine walking out the door. You're going out with your kids. You open up the door and you inhale all marijuana. This is happening all over Canada. There is hardly a walk that I go on. I take a couple walks per day, okay? I go out. Everywhere I go, I smell weed. There is not a time I go out that I do not smell marijuana. And also in that smoke, if you inhale it, you don't know if someone put cocaine in that. You don't know what they put in it. So it's going to be you inhaling their stuff. So to me, that's offensive. So I'm going to tell you about my life. I don't have a lot of time, but I'll try to condense it as much as I can. Just give me a sec. I lived in a time when there was no phones, internet. It was right, I lived on the cusp of it too. So, when I grew up, we had like Nintendo came out, Atari, Intellivision, then Super Nintendo, Sega, all those things. Those are basically what we had. Most kids had one of those systems. And so we didn't have all that stuff. And I think there kind of was an excuse for kids going out and going in bush bashes and all that type of stuff. It's not a good excuse. But that's what kids did. And so I remember it was a big thing, okay? I was I don't know if you'd say the cool crowd, I guess maybe. I didn't care for any of those types of things though. I just, it's just some of the people I hung around with. And I did hang around good people. Like, I didn't want to be around people who were fighting or that kind of. Give me a second. Give me a sec. And so the big thing was trying to get marijuana, and it wasn't easy to get. Alcohol, it was easier to get, it ended up being easier to get marijuana than alcohol, but at the beginning it wasn't. And I'm just going to take you through the first time I was with a group of friends, and my friend had a joint, and it must have been grade 9, I think. Maybe the beginning of grade 10. I used to be a funny kid, okay? I could come back with quick comments. I was funny because that's just the way I was before I developed CPTSD. And what happened? It was such a small joint that there was about 7 of us at his house, and he chose me to smoke it with, and I smoked it, and I remember I felt really, really good, and I just sat in his home staring at it like a ceiling fan. I just remember doing that and then feeling on cloud 9. I remember also doing it in class too. This was my life. One thing graduated into the next. That's all we did. We were weed smokers. People would consider us to be the surfer dudes type, but I got into, like we all did, alcohol and smoking marijuana. And, there were other times where we used other drugs too if they were available. And again, I said the internet wasn't there. I wish I was doing something more constructive, but I wasn't. I was on medications for like my mood, for like cyclical disorder. Never truly knew what I had at that point. I didn't like going to seeing psychiatrists or psychologists because remember I told you in my story I got in trouble with the law. I was forced to see these people. And alcohol and marijuana did not mix with my medications very well. And I probably, these psychiatric medications were probably making me a lot worse for reasons I didn't even understand. Like drinking, I'd feel so much worse the next day. People would have a hangover. I'd have a super hangover. Sometimes almost kill me. Like I was doing it in school. It was ruining everything. I'll just take you right to the point where I went from feeling good to not. Doing it so much, like, at least, smoking it 4 times a day. I would go out into like a parking lot with my friend, or, you know, pretty much when they just got his license. I remember being in a parking lot, okay? I remember the very moment. And I'm sure something else had happened to me psychologically, and it did. I was just developing CPTSD because I was struck a few times in the face, of which I don't elaborate more on that particular thing, but that's why I developed it. And so I guess my personality was changing, more hypervigilant, more all that stuff. And I remember we were in his car after we had smoked it, and I would sit there and I was like rigid, okay? I remember being really rigid. I was not comfortable anymore. This was marijuana doing this to me. I said something really funny, and we were laughing and laughing about it, and I forgot what we were even talking about, okay? As happens, you know, when you're using these things. Remember, people minimize what these things are. Marijuana is a hallucinogenic. You know what? I just saw a story the other night. I'm going to put it in the description box if I can find it. A woman, a good woman, and her, I don't know if they're to be married, but they'd gone to university together. I mean, like really smart people. They had, you know, they're finished their masters. That doesn't mean they're very smart, but legally, he said to her, you know, let's smoke a joint, and they smoked it. You probably maybe know the story. I was shocked. She went into a psychosis. I've seen this. I've seen people go into psychosis. What do you mean you could smoke a joint and go into psychosis? What do you mean change your personality? What do you mean end up with schizophrenia? If you deny that, you're stupid. Sorry, I mean, you're dumb. Because it keeps telling you on the package. I don't mean to say that. I don't really mean to say that. But don't be stupid. Don't be dumb. Because it says it right on the package. You want to end up with voices for the rest of your life? Why do you think I was so mad that I got high? If I wasn't with my dad the other night, I would have said something to that person. Because what that person was doing was wrong. It was a parkland. This woman ended up in a psychosis, took 3 knives out of her boyfriend's cupboard and stabbed him like 180 times or something, 140, killed him. The police came, tried to taser her 4 times. She was in a drug-induced psychosis. She was stabbed herself like 45 times. They had to break her arm with a baton to stop it. And she got only 6 days in jail and no prison time, even though they're trying to press for it. They can't do that, okay? It's not her fault, and I understand. But that's where it can take you. Pardon me a sec, I gotta take breaks. I have the info in my mind. Why not share it, right? Share with you what happens to a person. And I think it's proper to share it on a born-again Christian YouTube channel. Because I bet someone who, well, number one, my thumbnail is going to be marijuana. I'll make the thumbnail really inviting. I'll make it not look, yeah. So there I was in my friend's car. I veered off by telling you that story because I know other stories of people who smoked and went off. What I'm trying to tell you is it's a hallucinogenic. Okay? That's just like LSD. They're in the same class. That's why people can hallucinate. You can hallucinate on it. You can become overdosed on it too. Neurotoxic. sometimes we were so stupid that we thought it was so cool if we smoked a whole ounce, of which I did do, by the way, with, I don't know, it was like a group of 4 people. Really, really dumb. This isn't going to do anything for your life. There I was sitting in my friend's car, and I couldn't remember what we were laughing about anymore. And I don't know how old I was, maybe 16. I never forgot that instant that I truly became an uncomfortable person from that point on. But I know I was developing CPTSD, but that wasn't helping me. You know what the funny thing is that you know, I don't know, in most friend groups, like I had a friend group that, you know, I preferred to hang around people who would never hurt other people on purpose. Sure, sometimes I fought my friends when I was drunk, just out of something that wasn't supposed to happen, like just things that didn't last long, I'll just say, okay? Just a dispute type thing, but no, I lost track of what I was saying. All substances. So I ended up that way, and it's not an easy story to tell because there's so much that happened in my life. Yes, that's it. And everyone's, usually if you have a group of friends, okay, you say you hang around, what we would do is we would go into the forest. What I was saying is I didn't hang around people who would go out and hurt people on purpose, okay? Those are the type of people I like to hang around with. I was like with my brother. He'd have his friends with my group of friends sometimes and mixed. But we loved being in the forest, having fires, doing all that type of stuff. And, you know, we hated the group of people in the area who were like that. But it's funny. You know, in every group of friends, there's someone who chatters a lot, right? And you just knew, it was like, you can't wait for them to smoke a joint. Why? Because they immediately shut up. That's what it does to you. I don't think that's a good thing. I remember, you know, if I was with a group of 7 to 10 people out in the woods, we'd all stand in a circle, or, you know, people would be talking, and I would, when I was there, when I smoked a joint, it took no more than 10 seconds before I was high, okay? And I don't know why I continued to do it, but I always remember saying to myself, I wonder if these guys are comfortable, because I'm really uncomfortable when I'm smoking this stuff. But you get stuck in cycles and groups of friends cycles. I don't think my friends would ever say if I stopped doing it, you know, why are you stopped doing it? Although some people in this world would, if you're hanging out with the wrong people. But like, it ruins school. There was an upside to school, there was a downside to school. I kind of like school, high school, but it also was a nightmare to me. It was both. It was yin yang. Walking around school like a zombie, okay? You're like a zombie. Not getting things done, procrastinating, being totally apathetic. That was my life. And I knew when I smoked, I felt worse. And going to class, feeling paranoid, and it was probably making my CPTSD worse, and my PTSD, because I have both of them. And so I'll just go quickly to, and you know what, if I was drinking alcohol and I was drunk and I used it, it would take away that drunkenness. I'm telling you, it wouldn't take it away, but it would. I would be like that. Like I would go from someone with guts to absolute apathy. I remember I was doing like I wasn't going to my school anymore. Like I spent a few more years getting my credits, okay? So I was like 20 years old in high school, or like 19 or 20. And I did. I got it. But I was trying to quit around that time. I truly quit when I was 25. It was probably younger, maybe 23. It was probably 23. And I remember the teachers, because my teachers in school knew that I was messed up. They knew. And I think they felt sorry for me too. When they saw me stopping and not doing this anymore, they were asking me to talk to certain people in school because I could have an influence on them. I did. I attempted to tell them. What is it called? The school that you have a school, but it's attached to the school. I mean, in the same city, but it's affiliated with it. Not night school, but anyways, I was in that program so I could get my credits to finish off because I didn't do well in school because of these things. Because I was very uncomfortable in school. Marijuana was messing me up. It made me very psychologically uncomfortable. I couldn't articulate myself. I couldn't further my life. And, like I just wish I could have done things over. Yes, I have autism. And I had problems before that, there certainly. But, I wish I had been doing something constructive. I was just wasting my life away. So, actually, what I'm saying here isn't going the way I thought it would, because I try not to in these types of videos to put points down. I don't. I want to talk in real time about it. Give me a sec. I've seen people from all walks of life, ages. I've been in a psychiatric ward quite a few times from suicidal behavior in my life. A lot, mostly to do with physical pain, but I did feel that way before because my life was it was very tough, okay? And I have cyclical disorder, which is a form of bipolar, and my life was like up, down, up, down. It was alcohol that was doing that. But while I was in there, I would try to help people in there. And I would see people coming in, and why were they there? They were there because they had a cold trip. As Johnny Cash says in The Man in Black, his trip left him cold, right? A drug trip. All it takes is one single puff of marijuana, like that woman I just said, to cause you a psychosis. It can go all kinds of ways. You can develop all kinds of disorders. But all it takes is one puff when you're 15, 16 years old, or a hit of LSD, to forever mess your life up, to have schizophrenia. So next thing you know, you're getting voices every single day. It never stops, ever. You wake up, you tap your radio because you said it, and it starts talking to you. It never ends. Accusatory delusions. Can you imagine that? All day long. From a single hit of marijuana, I see people in that ward come through the doors, and the way that they're talking, they're messed up. You just know. You hope it's not going to last long, but you know right there that they've been touched by that evil. I'm not going to call it. I don't know what I would call it. I would just say it was done by those drugs. Mind altering. It's like it rewires your brain. Who knows? Maybe a spirit actually enters into you. These are permanent things. Yeah, I guess I'll finish off with this. There's many other stories I could tell you, but I want to lead you to where you're stuck. Okay, let's talk about cycles. Just give me a sec. It's no different with CBD, which is a cannabinoid. What does it say on here? Okay, there's med relief. That's for my pain. I only use this right at the end of the night. Like the second before I go to bed, I take a puff because my legs are on fire. So I have a lot of other pain. This is just like 0.7% THC. You cannot get lower. But look what it says on it. It's French. I'm right on the Quebec border, so it's all French. No, wait. Daily or repeated use over a prolonged period of time can harm brain development and function. Good point. You don't want to do this when you're young, right? Because it'll change your brain function, change the way you think, and then you'll start getting into all these cycles and you have all these different learned behaviors. I don't have my other one because it says cause psychosis. It can. So guys, this is just CBD. This isn't like high dose THC weed, marijuana. This is cannabinoid. Up to half of people who use cannabis on a daily basis have work, social, or health problems from using cannabis. That's horrible. And then they go and they we're going to legalize this, and so it is in Canada. And I know full well it's Justin Trudeau. He's stupid for doing it. He's ruined our country, our name for the period of time that he's been in power in Canada, which really isn't that long. But anyway, since he's done that, now the studies are out. People are entering psychiatric wards and filling up offices of psychologists, psychotherapists. Why? Because of this. Not just because of that, but it's a big part of it. You have no idea. I could go walk everywhere. It's in my hallway. There's a guy in my hallway that's just always. Give me a second. Sorry, I don't mean to take so many breaks. I can't pause this, remember, so you're going to have to give me a minute. Okay. I'm sure you know it. You know, if you smoke marijuana, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say cycles. This just happened to me, okay? And it wasn't that long ago that I was using this all day. I was stuck in a cycle. Was it helping my pain? Absolutely. It was helping my neck and my shoulder pain because I have a lot of damage in there. And other parts of my body too. And I have adhesive arachnoiditis, inflammation of my spine, scar tissue in my spine because I took away Toradol and I don't have a neuro anti-inflammatory, which means it can halt that inflammation. But these are justifications I gave to myself. I couldn't get out of the cycle. I knew sometimes, like, there were emergencies where I had to go to the hospital for like my abdomen, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to use it there, and I didn't. I'm like, I come back and I'm like, I felt better. I know I felt better. I can look back at some of my videos. I'm not myself because of that. It was making me like hyper, like more anxiety, like it wasn't good. It wasn't good, and it's no different than when I was young. You're going to have to learn to break this cycle. How do you break the cycle? You just do it. Start looking at yourself. Start seeing, how am I? Start studying yourself. Say, what am I like? Write it down if you have to. Write it down because if you use it again, you can look at that piece of paper and say, I wrote it down. I was better than I am right now. You're going to have to learn to break that cycle and stop altogether. Only good can come out of this. You may be in a horrible, let's not talk about a pain state. Let's talk about your regular psychological state. You actually think you're going to be better by using marijuana? I don't think that will ever be the case. All this can lead to is apathy, mental illness, changing the way your brain works, just like neuroplasticity, but it'll turn it plastic. Sure, there are people that are, go against the rule, right? But don't let those people fool you, because the majority says that you're going to get sick from this. Save your money too. So what happened? I took that away just to, well, give me a sec, guys. I got like a big head rush there. Felt like I was gonna fall. Because I took this away, I'm not going to talk about when I was younger. Let's talk about now. When I used that CBD, the hypersensitivity due probably to autism makes me feel like I did when I was smoking marijuana when I was young. But that's okay because I do it and I go to bed. And I wake up and I'm not like that. And my sleep, I have acute pain. That's why I use that. It doesn't do anything to me. Like I don't wake up and there's no effects that way. When you're smoking it and you're in the daytime, I'm not telling you to use it during the night. And like I said, I'm not going to speak for people who have a lot of pain because you have your benefit risk ratio. I think what happens is what it does while you're awake, right? Because you start learning things, you can hallucinate, you can have delusions, you can have anxiety. It can mess up the way you go about your day. I don't know, all sorts of things. You can develop just about anything with it. It's no good. Throw it out. That's what I have to say. There's a ton of stories I can throw at you, but I'm not going to because they're not, I would say the word edifying. They're not edifying. And this is meant to be an edifying video. not in a scriptural sense, but to get you headed towards Yahuwah, God. I don't think he takes kind to people. Paul the Apostle writes, drunkards. So this is in the same category as drunkards. Getting high. It's no different, guys. So, you say, well, it doesn't say that in there. It's in the same category. And I'm not going to say that for someone who has very severe pain, because I just don't think it's the same thing. There's like recreation and someone who can barely tolerate life and has no other options. So, y'all bless every one of you. By the way, I hit my head on my freezer today, and I don't know what's going to happen to my neck. I don't know, I'll tell you about that later, but I think I'm okay. But remember what happened with my back, put out my back and everything, and then that happened. Wow. Take care, guys. I hope this helps somebody.